All right, guys, the sun is about to go down. We are done with Hell's Revenge. We're out in the new Yamaha Wolverine RMAX 1000, proven off-road. We just proven it here in Moab, Utah, out on Hell's Revenge. We've been doing some slick rock, we've been doing some small boulder stuff, and I want to talk about the highlights of the day. So, one of the things that really impressed me the most today was the suspension. Very, very plush on the suspension. Super quiet. We passed a lot of other side-by-sides out on the trail, and as you pass them, you can hear their suspension squeaking. We didn't have any of that in the suspension on the RMAX. We did play with the suspension settings. We started out in medium, we dropped it to low, we went up to high, and all in all, you will be able to tell a difference between the different modes. Our favorite mode for today, medium. We had it on medium probably half the day, and that seemed to be our pleasure point, if you will. So how did it do crawling? The machine is very, very, very Moab capable. Right now we're running about 10 pounds of pressure in the tires. The tire performed very well. As you know, this tire, it molds to the rock really well. This carnivore does a really good job flexing and molding to the rock, providing a big patch of traction. We never lacked for traction. We never spun a tire. We were doing some vertical climbs and it just crept right up. So, drive modes. As you know, there's a sport, a trail, and a crawl mode. We did play with all of them today. I can see the sport mode being for cat and mousing around the mountains, out at the sand dunes, playing out on the road. But in the Moab terrain, sport mode is way too jerky. The throttle response is very instant, and it's a little jerky on the Moab terrain. Trail mode. Trail mode is still my favorite. You heard about the mountain riding that I did and that I love trail mode. Trail mode for Moab is still my favorite. We have not got into the steep, nasty Moab rim, cliffhanger, those types of trails, and maybe my opinion on that will change. But as of right now, trail mode is still my favorite mode. Crawl mode was incredible, don't get me wrong. The downhill engine braking is very intense, so going down those steep climbs and descents, you have the ability to just let that machine motor you down, and you'll see that in some of the videos that we post up. What else? Steering. The turning radius on this thing, on point. We would turn so sharp and so quick. It was actually pretty enjoyable to feel how instant and how easy the power steering was. Now, when you're in diff lock, it is quite a bit harder to steer. We have had other machines that we've tested out here in Moab, and the RMAX is probably one of the more difficult ones to steer in full diff lock. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but you'll find yourself going in and out of differential lock, because when you're not doing those gnarly climbs, you're not going to want diff lock on because it is harder to steer. What else? There's no dust in the cab still. We did do some silty areas. As you know, if you've been on Hell's Revenge, there are some areas that are very silty. In fact, it was about that deep in some of the places as we headed out to the overlook. It's very clean inside the cab. We are both very clean inside the machine. We did reach temperatures over 100 degrees here in Moab today. One of the most pleasurable things is, I would dare say, this is the least hot inside the cab machine I have ever driven in my entire life. We've tested a lot of machines throughout the years, and by far, without exception, the RMAX 1000 is, how the heat comes in the cab is very, very little. Even where the shift point is, where a lot of the side-by-sides on the market have a lot of hot air coming up through that shift point, it wasn't there. The shifter itself was not hot. Your legs, as you can see, we're in shorts today. Our legs were resting right on that center console, and it was not hot in there at all. we did see operating temperatures on the RMAX anywhere from about 198 up to 208. We would hear the fan kick on and kick off occasionally, and every time that fan kicked on, I was just waiting for this heat to hit us inside the cab, and it just never came inside the cab. It didn't matter if we were going fast or going slow, so that was one of the big shockers for me today. We're going to continue here in Moab. This is just day one. We're going to get out and do some night riding tonight. We're going to go get a nice steak in town before we do that, and then we're going to go out and do some more stuff. If you have any questions, post up in the comments below. We want to find out what you guys are yearning to hear, because we're going to cover that while we're here. Overall impression of the RMAX. Power's great, suspension's incredible, no dust, power steering's great. What don't we like about the RMAX? The only thing so far that I can tell you that I'm not liking is that differential lock power the power steering does not assist you a whole lot in diff lock. Again, not that big of a deal, but that is one of the things today. The other thing is going in and out of differential lock has a little more of a hesitation in it that I would like. You do for sure need to come to a stop to go in and out of differential lock, but even when you come to a complete stop, you're going to have to advance forward or backward a little bit in order for that differential lock to kick out. I would find myself wanting to accelerate quicker than it would kick out, and the machine will actually cut out on you until it disengages from differential lock as a safety feature. So far, those are my only complaints. The positives way outweigh those minimal complaints, but I'm sure after we cover a couple more days here in Moab, we're going to have a lot more feedback for you. Again, Jared here at Big Pine Sports. We're in beautiful Moab, Utah. The sun's about to set, temperatures are about to drop, and I think that's a wrap. Stay tuned, you guys. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you, Yamaha, for bringing out such an amazing machine, sending us really cool stuff like this sign. I'm going to glare that in the camera as we fade out into the sunset. More to come.